Dear viewers of the Tom Photo channel, do you also think that clouds make some of the coolest photography subjects? Do you like black and white photography? Putting those two together multiplies their effect. 1 plus 1 will not merely equal 2. Why is that? My guess is that minimalism meets minimalism and contrast blends with mystery. I feel more excitement looking at monochrome photos of clouds. I really like the timeless feel of black and white, reminiscent of looking at old newspapers. Along with fog and mist, clouds are the best friends of landscape photographers. You may not have much special in the landscape, but if you can fill it with amazing clouds, the entire scene becomes quite captivating. I think our eyes are naturally drawn to clouds. Many landscape photos contain more clouds than anything else, and I generally love these photos. Let me tell you how I go about my cloud photography, especially the black and white version of it. I don't have a black and white dedicated camera. I use my Fujifilm X-T30, reviewed for you down below. It has some very good black and white modes, but I generally don't use them, to be honest. I convert from color images. When I do, however, I typically go for the Acros with a red filter. This mode gives you very dramatic results straight out of the box. Acros comes with quite a bit of built-in grain to achieve a more dramatic look and mimic the black and white vibe from the past. It's a wonderful color simulation, but I often take a different route to have more creative freedom. I shoot normal RAW files and then continue with RAW Therapy and GIMP. They don't have to be these two, choose any similar software. I record the RAW file with a relatively high f-stop value, between 8 and 11. And if it's telephoto, I use a tripod. I also underexpose a little bit, 0.3 to 0.7 units if the clouds are the only objects in the photo, and even more if there is some dark background or forest in the photo. I simply focus on the closest cloud. If your autofocus struggles, use the border between the cloud and the sky. Manual focus with clouds can be tricky, so I don't use it. You could also add red, yellow, or circular polarizer filters when taking the photo. I'll talk about this in a future video, but in most cloud photography cases, I do not use filters. Once I have my RAW file, I open it with RAW Therapy, and my introduction to RAW Therapy is linked for you down below again. In RAW Therapy, I typically do this under the plus-minus tab. I reduce the highlights by pulling the highlights slider to far right. Highlights tonal width is around 70. Then I make sure that the shadows slider is as far to the left as possible. This is because I like to get every bit of contrast that I can. Then I do minimal tone mapping, maybe just around 0.01. If parts of the cloud are a bit overexposed and look like they might contain washed out details, I apply a graduated filter, a very mild one. Again, please watch my RAW Therapy tutorial for more details. Under the Sharpening tab, I increase the local contrast to about 0.1. Then I apply a little bit of noise reduction by doing Impulse Noise Reduction 50 and Luminance 10 and Detail Recovery about 5. Occasionally, I might do Haze Removal 1 to 5 for luminance only. However, this can reverse some of the earlier steps we carried out, especially the tone mapping. Under the Color tab, I might turn the soft light to a small value, perhaps between 1 and 5. And that's about it for the RAW Therapy part. I continue by exporting the image as a 16-bit TIFF file and continue with it in GIMP. This is purely my personal preference. You can do all manipulations in RAW Therapy, but I'm accustomed to giving it final touches in GIMP. I might now enhance the contrast by applying auto white balance to the photo. This is more likely to work if clouds form only a small part of your photo. If this white balance modification results in a very unnatural photo, I simply undo this and continue with the white balance that I had. However, if the result is interesting, I go with it. I might flatten the tonal curve a bit because auto white balance can mess up your tonal curve. I talk about this technique in detail in another video linked for you below. Once the photo looks interesting enough, I convert it to black and white image. Chances are good that I like what I have. However, I might add a little bit of contrast. Just normal overall contrast, the type you typically do not increase for your color images. The last thing to do is sharpen the photo, just the edges and borders. Again, please watch my GIMP sharpening video. But to make this part of the video shorter, I simply put my favorite GIMP cloud sharpening settings for a 24 megapixel photo on the screen for you. Everything I told you is an average solution, which I consider only a starting point. I usually tweak the settings more and experiment much more to learn new ways to achieve interesting results. I'll be most happy to continue this discussion with you in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I enjoyed spending time with you and talking about photography. If you consider subscribing and liking, I'll be very thankful indeed. See you soon. Goodbye.